We hear the sound of the bell, we stop talking, we stop thinking, we stop everything, we stop listening. We just go back to our in breath to enjoy our in breath and to enjoy our breath. The sound of the bell is like the voice of the Buddha from within, calling us back to our true home in the here and the now. So every time we hear the bell, we just stop all thinking and we just follow our in breath and out breath and enjoy the fact that we are alive and we can smile and we enjoy breathing in and breathing out deeply at least 3 times. That is the practice of mindfulness of the bell. And there is a short poem of 2 sentences that we can use during the time of breathing. Listen, I listen, this wonderful sound brings me back to my true home. Listen, I listen deeply, this wonderful sound brings me back to my true home. My true home is in the here and the now. So let us enjoy sitting together and listen to 3 sounds of the bell. We have a chance to enjoy 9 in breath and 9 out breath. That is the practice of peace and relaxation. Good morning, dear friends. Today's bell master is Brother Paptan. He's German. And before he became a monk, he was a psychotherapist. He came to a retreat on Buddhist psychology. And after the retreat, he decided that to be a monk, he can help many more people. Mindfulness is our practice, and mindfulness is a kind of energy that we can generate during our daily life. And when you are inhabited by the energy of mindfulness, you are alive, you are attentive, you are loving, you are understanding. So mindfulness is the energy of the Buddha that we can generate, that can help us live deeply every moment of our daily life. And mindfulness is possible for everyone. When I drink my tea, if I focus my attention on the fact that I am drinking my tea, and that is called mindfulness of drinking. Everyone can drink his tea or her tea mindfully, right? And when you are mindful, you are very much a Buddha, because a Buddha is someone who is inhabited by the energy of mindfulness and concentration. If you are very mindful, and then you are also concentrated. And if you are mindful and concentrated, you touch life deeply. And when you touch life deeply, you get the insight of what is there. And that insight into the nature of things can liberate you from your afflictions, your fear, your anger, your despair. So the three kinds of energies that are essential for the success of a practitioner is mindfulness, concentration, and insight. Smriti, Samadhi, and Prajna. And we all have the seed of the three energies in us. And a day of mindfulness can help touch these three sources of energies in us and make them grow for our own happiness, for our own transformation and healing. And a day of mindfulness is a day to practice nourishment, healing, transformation with the energy of mindfulness and concentration and insight. The easiest way to define mindfulness is the energy that allows you to be fully present in the here and the now. Mindfulness allows us to be aware of what is going on in the present moment. When you breathe in, and if you are aware that you are breathing in, the object of your mindfulness is your in-breath. Breathing in, I know this is my in-breath. And when you practice breathing in mindfully, the energy of mindfulness is generated. And mindfulness here means mindfulness of breathing. And when you walk mindfully, and you become aware of every step you take, you enjoy every step. You are with your steps. You are not thinking of other things. The energy of mindfulness also abides in you, and that is mindfulness of walking, mindfulness of drinking, mindfulness of breathing, mindfulness of walking. When in the morning you brush your teeth, and if you focus your attention on just toothbrushing, you become alive during the 1 or 2 minutes of brushing your teeth. Life is there in these 2 minutes, joy also. And during the time of brushing your teeth, mindfulness is in you, and it is the mindfulness of toothbrushing. I'm very fortunate at this age. I still have some teeth to brush. So every morning when I brush my tooth, I'm aware that I still have some teeth to breathe, and I'm so happy. Mindfulness of toothbrushing. When you go to the restroom, you can wash your face mindfully. You can look into the mirror and smile to yourself. You can urinate in mindfulness. You can defecate in mindfulness. So mindfulness is possible everywhere. And when you practice mindfulness in the restroom becomes a meditation hall. When you water the vegetable garden in the backyard, and if you focus your attention on watering the vegetable, and if you enjoy watering vegetables. If you are fully established in the here and now, you leave this moment of vegetable watering deeply, and your garden, your vegetable garden become a meditation hall. And when you drive your car mindfully, following your in breath and out breath, you pay attention to your driving, you are aware of every movement of the traffic. And you are practicing mindfulness of driving. And when you come to a red light, you smile to the red light with friendliness. You sit back and you enjoy breathing in, breathing out. You are not angry, you are not impatient. You enjoy the moment offered to you by the red light. You consider the red light not to be an enemy, preventing for you from going there as soon as possible, but you see the red light as a bell of mindfulness, a friend helping you to stop and to enjoy that moment. And that moment, you enjoy in breath and out breath, and you feel alive, and the moment becomes pleasant. That is a part of the practice called mindful driving, mindfulness of driving. And when you use your telephone, you can enjoy your in breath and out breath. You can enjoy the sound of the telephone. Suppose you want to call someone. You might like to apply telephone meditation. It is possible. You hold your telephone and you breathe in and you breathe out before you make the number. You think of that person that you are going to talk to, and you enjoy breathing and breathing out. You promise that you will use loving speech in order to talk to him or to her. And there is a poem, a gatha, that you can use for telephone meditation. It goes like this: words can travel hundreds of kilometers. That is for your in breath. When you breathe in, you recite that line. Words can travel hundreds of miles. And they have the capacity of promoting more mutual understanding and joy. That is the line, the second line that you read, that you pronounce when you breathe out. Words can help build more mutual understanding and joy and friendship. And then you breathe in again, you say that I vow that every word of mine will bring peace and joy. I vow that every words of mine will be beautiful like embroideries and flowers. And when you breathe in and out 2 times like that with the gatha, you become calm. You calm yourself. You become more compassionate. You are inspired by the idea of having a kind communication with the other person. When you hear the telephone ring, your natural reaction is, who is calling? Good news or bad news? So there is a kind of vibration in yourself, a little bit of worry, maybe bad news. So you are eager to pick up the phone right away to find out to see whether that is good news or bad news. Don't have the time to practice breathing and breathing in and breathing out. So if you are a practitioner of telephone meditation, don't answer right away when you first hear the telephone ringing. Stay where you are and enjoy your in breath, enjoy your out breath, and practice the gatha, the stance. the stanza of 4 lines. Breathing in, breathing out, breathing in, breathing out. And then you push button and you listen and you are smiling because you are calm, you are friendly. And you know that the quality of the conversation shall be better because you are calm, you are friendly. So if you are the caller, practice mindful breathing and recite the poem before making the number. And when the telephone ring on the other end of the line, you know that she is also a practitioner of telephone meditation. She won't answer you right away. She's still breathing in and breathing out. And so you tell yourself, well, my friend is breathing in and breathing out. I also do that. So both of you are breathing in and breathing out together. That's something very beautiful. Both of you know about telephone meditation. And of course, when she pushed the green button, then both of you will communicate in friendship and enjoy. If everyone in New Delhi practice telephone meditation, the city will be much more peaceful and joyful. I remember the first time I met Shantu, one of the main organizers of this trip for us. I was invited to his mother's home to have dinner. I don't know how many decades ago. And when I talked to her before the meal, I offered her the practice of telephone meditation. She appreciated that very much. She was the judge of the Supreme Court at that time. And those who come to Plum Village, where we live and practice in France, they come from many, many countries. In summer, the Sangha practicing here represent something like 50 countries and many young people and also children. Many come as a family because we have programs of practice of mindfulness for children, for young people. And everyone receive instructions as how to enjoy telephone meditation, driving meditation, and so on. When you are in the kitchen helping with the cooking, you can practice mindfulness. You can chop the vegetable. You can boil water mindfully. And the kitchen become a meditation hall. If you are a guest of Plum Village, you are invited to join us in cleaning, in setting up the meditation hall, in watering the vegetable garden, in taking care of the garbage, in cooking. And while doing these things with monks and nuns and other lay practitioners, you practice mindfulness. So we practice mindfulness all day through. And the practice of mindful walking is a very wonderful way to learn how to live each moment of our daily life deeply. Because while you practice walking mindfully, you arrive in the here and the now with every step. You are no longer running like before. There is a tendency in all of us to run into the future. We believe that happiness is not possible now. We need a few more conditions to be happy. That is why most of us sacrifice the present moment for the future. Many of us make that kind of mistake. Looking deeply, you realize that life is available only in the present moment, because the past is already gone and the future is not yet there. There's only one moment for you to truly live, that is the present moment. It's so clear. And if you are established in the present moment, you can get in touch with the blue sky, the beautiful trees, the river, the songs of the birds, the lovely face of your child, and many, many more. And if you sacrifice the present moment, you lose everything. And that is why the practice of mindfulness is the basic practice that brings us home to the present moment in order for us to truly live our life. You have an appointment, very important appointment with life. And that appointment takes place in the present moment. And if you miss the present moment, you miss the appointment with life. It's so clear, so simple to understand. So don't miss the appointment with life. Don't run into the future. Don't get locked into the past. And the practice of mindfulness is to free yourself from the sorrow, the regret concerning the past, from the fear and the uncertainty concerning the future. So you become free to be in the present moment and to live your life deeply. And that art of living is called the art of mindful living in the present moment. And the expression that the Buddha used is Drishta Dharma Sukha Vihara. It means living happily in the present moment. When you go home to the present moment, you realize that there are so many conditions of happiness that are already available. You don't need more conditions to be happy. Suppose we take a sheet of paper and try to write down the conditions of happiness that you already have. I don't think that one page is enough for you to put down the conditions of your happiness. You turn to the other page and you fill up, and you need another sheet of paper. There are so many conditions of happiness that you already have, believe me. And you don't need more conditions of happiness. These conditions are inside of you and around you. And you need to recognize them as existing. And there are simple exercises prescribed by the Buddha for us to touch the conditions of happiness that you already have. Suppose you practice this exercise. Breathing in, I'm aware of my eye. Breathing out, I smile to my eye. Mindfulness of eyes. When you bring your attention to your eyes, you get the enlightenment, the insight that you have eyes still in good conditions. That's a wonderful thing. That those of us who have lost our eyesight, who cannot see things anymore, and the deepest wish is to have eyes like those we have, eyes still in good conditions. There is a paradise of forms and colors available in the here and the now. Looking up, you can see the blue sky, and the white cloud. Looking down, you can see the grass, the trees, the rivers, all kind of colors. There is a feast, a festival of colors and form going on around us. And because you have eyes in good conditions, that paradise of forms and colors, that festivals of form and colors are available to you. And your eyes in good condition is one of the basic conditions of happiness that you are having now. And when you touch your eyes like that, you touch one condition of your happiness. And when you recognize it, you can be happy right away. Breathing in, I'm aware of my eyes still in good condition. Breathing out, I smile happily to my eyes. I feel thankful to my eyes. Breathing in, I'm aware of my heart. Have you focused your awareness, your mindfulness to your heart before? Your heart works very hard, day and night, pumping the blood, nourishing all the cells in your body. You have a chance to sleep 6 hours or a little bit more every night, but your heart works non-stop, day and night, to support you, to sustain your well-being. And sometimes we do not behave kindly to our heart. We smoke, we drink alcohol, we do things like that. We stay very late into the night. We have given our heart a hard time. Our heart suffers. And when you bring your attention to your heart and realize that your heart has worked very hard and you have not been very kind to your heart, suddenly you feel compassion. So mindfulness and compassion are there during the time of breathing in and breathing out. And your heart is embraced by that wholesome energy of mindfulness and compassion. And maybe this is the first time you embrace your heart with understanding and compassion. And you may like to make a promise to your heart that from now on you quit smoking, you quit drinking alcohol, you quit eating a lot of fat, and so on. And you show compassion to your heart. And realizing that you have a heart that functions normally, you know that you have a basic condition to be happy. Because there are those who do not have such a heart. They are very afraid that they will get a heart attack at any time. And the deepest wish they have is to have a normal heart like yours. So you have so many conditions of happiness. And going home to your body, going home to your consciousness, you realize that many of the conditions of happiness are available from within. And then the blue sky, the beautiful hills and trees, the clear rivers. Your beloved one is still there. There's so many conditions of happiness. Not giving you ideas, it's touching the seat of your happiness and joy and wisdom. I remember one time a reporter from the San Francisco Chronicle came to see me in my temple in Northern California. He wanted to interview me in order to write an article on the practice of mindfulness. I received him in the Redwood Grove. I had a hermitage surrounded by beautiful redwood trees. I invited him to have some tea, and I suggest that he forget his interview, just enjoy sitting under the redwood and enjoy the tea. And he was able to do that. And we talk about how wonderful to sit there to enjoy the beautiful mountain, the beautiful redwood trees, and to have tea together. And he really practiced being in the present moment in order to enjoy the beautiful trees and in the beautiful and the good tea. After the interview, I accompanied him to the parking lot. And I suggest that he practice walking, mindful walking with me to the parking lot. Of course, to go to the parking lot is to get your car. But meanwhile, you can enjoy every step. You can practice walking meditation. What you want is not really the car. What you want is life. And life is available at every step. So he was willing to practice mindful walking with me. He's a very good reporter. And halfway to the parking lot, I asked him to stop. And I invited him to look up and at the beautiful blue sky. Remember the blue sky in Northern California. And I invited him to breathe in and to become aware of the color, blue color, and smile to the blue color of the sky. And he stand there, both of us, looking at the sky and breathe. It may look silly to you, but it's very important for us because we really try to live our life deeply. We are not running. We try to stop in that present moment in order to live our life deeply. And after that, when I say goodbye to him, before he went into the car, he said that, "Thầy, I have never looked at the sky that way before." Very deep. You have spent 40 years, 50 years, but you have never looked at the sky like that. We have to look at the sky, at the trees, at our beloved one with that kind of eyes, and eyes empowered by the energy of mindfulness. I remember the day the Buddha said goodbye to the city of Vaishali to go back to his hometown to die. He was 80 years old. He knew that it was his last time in the city of Vaishali. His his last rain retreat in the vicinity of Vaishali, northern of the Ganges River. His attendant was the Venerable Ananda. Walking with Ananda, he stopped from time to time and he asked question, "Ananda, don't you think that the city of Vaishali is beautiful?" He practiced mindfulness and he appreciated the beauty of Vaishali. And then it is recorded in the sutra. That sutra related everything that happened to the Buddha during his last year being alive. The sutra said, and then the Buddha turned around and take the last look of the city of Vaishali with the eyes of an elephant queen, the queen elephant queen. His last look at the city, he liked the look of an elephant queen. And then he turned around and began to walk north. The eyes of the elephant queen, the Buddha has it. You see something like you see it for the last time. You see it very deeply. You cherish, you treasure what you see. And that day, the journalist from the San Francisco Chronicle was using his elephant queen eyes in order to look at the blue sky. Every one of us has that eyes, the eyes of the elephant queen. And during our daily life, we should use that eyes in order to look at things around us and inside of us. Look at your beloved one with that eyes of mindfulness, and you cherish her presence, his presence, and you be motivated by the desire to do something to make him or her happy right today, because tomorrow it might be too late. And when your eyes is inhabited, empowered by the energy of mindfulness, your eyes become the eyes of the elephant queen. There are those who think that practicing mindfulness, you are forbidden to think about the past and forbidden to think about future. But we have so many things to do. We have to think about the future. But mindfulness is not about not learning from the past and not planning for the future. It's perfectly okay to do planning for the future and to learn from the past. In fact, we can learn a lot from the past. What is suggested here is that you don't lose yourself in the sorrow and the regret concerning the past. Because many of us are locked into the present, into the prison of the past. We are not capable of living in the here and the now. What a pity. But if we are well established in the present moment, we can bring the past home to the present moment and have a deep look. We are still anchored in the present moment in order to look at the past. We are not losing ourselves in the past. Losing ourselves means to allow ourselves to be carried away by regret, by sorrow. We are well established in the present moment. We bring the past to the present as an object of our mindfulness. And we can learn so much from the past. And we can even transform the past, which is something wonderful. Suppose in the past you have done something not very kind to someone. You have said something not very kind to your mother. and now your mother is no longer alive, and you regret that you have told her such a mean thing. If she is still there, you have a chance to say, I'm sorry, mommy, but she is no longer there. So what to do if you practice mindfulness? You bring the past home to the here and the now, and you realize that your mother is still there, fully present in every cell of your body. Your mother has transmitted herself to you. All the genes that you have in the cell of your body represent your mother. She is still there, fully alive in every cell of your body. Breathing in, I recognize the presence of my mother in every cell of my body. Breathing out, I smile to my mother in every cell of my body. This is possible. This is also very scientific. Your mother is still alive in you. You carry her into the future, and you can touch the presence of your mother inside of you. And then you continue, Mother, I'm sorry to have told you such a thing. I promise that from now on, I will never say such a thing to anyone. And if you are sincere, and then you can see your mother smiling in you, and the wound begins to heal right away. And that is why mindfulness can even heal the past and repair the damage that you have done in the past. The same thing is true with the future. We know that to worry about future, to lose ourselves in the worry and the anxiety and the uncertainty about the future does not help, does not guarantee a good future. It will ruin the future if you allow yourself to be carried away by anxiety and fear and uncertainty. But if you practice mindful breathing and become fully established in the here and the now, you can bring the full future into the present moment and have a look. You really plan for the future. So the practice of mindfulness does not forbid you to plan of the future. You can very well make plan for the future with the condition that you are still established in the present moment. And then you know that the future is made of only one substance, that is the present. What can the future be made of? Only the present moment. So taking care of the present moment the best way you can. Invest yourself 100% into taking care of the present. Is about everything you do in order to assure a good future, because the future is made only of the present. So the practice of mindfulness embrace the present moment deeply, and by doing so, you take care of both the past and of the future. This is an art of living, to live mindfully. And living mindfully, to be there in order to receive the nourishment and the healing is the purpose of the practice of mindfulness. We have learned that we have seeds of joy of compassion, of peace in us. And if we allow the seed of joy and compassion and understanding and peace in us to be watered every day, several times, and then we become a happy person. If you love someone and if you want her to be happy, if you want him to be happy, recognize these positive seeds in him and water them every day. He will be a happy person and you will profit. Don't try to water the seed of jealousy, fear, anger, irritation in him or in her. He will suffer and he will make you suffer. In Buddhist psychology, we speak of consciousness in terms of seeds, bija seeds. They are seeds that are positive, like forgiveness, joy, understanding, compassion, non-discrimination. When you water these seeds in a person, she will become a happy person, sure. That is the art of selective watering. You don't water the other kind of seeds, the seed of violence, the seed of fear, anger, misunderstanding. The other day, I was invited as a guest editor of the Times of India. And I had a chance to discuss about the practice of seed watering with other editors of the daily newspaper. I said that you can report on what happened in a nation in such a way that can water the seed of understanding and compassion in your readers. Don't water the seed of fear and distress. Prevent fear and despair to become a collective energy. It would be very dangerous for society and nation. So journalists can practice selective watering by reporting on what has happened, is happening. If you love someone, you should make the commitment to water only his good seeds. Darling, I love you. And I commit myself to water only the good seeds in you. I promise not to water the seed of anger, irritation, discrimination, sadness, and fear in you. I promise. But would you promise to do the same with me? You know that I have negative seeds in me. I have a seed of jealousy. I have a seed of fear, anger. And if every time you water these seeds, I suffer. And if I suffer, I will likely make you suffer. So please, don't water these seeds. Only water the seed of understanding, compassion, and joy in me. So in a love relationship, the two people should know the art of selective watering. And I assure you that 1 week of practice of selective watering can already change the situation. And your level of mutual understanding and happiness will be increased. 1 hour of practice can already change. You water the flower in him or in her, you don't water the garbage. The garbage is anger, hate, sorrow, the flower is love, understanding. I remember one day in Plum Village, that is on Vesak Day, the day of the birthday of the Buddha. I gave a discourse on watering the good seeds. And I saw in the audience a lady that cried from the beginning of the discourse. After the end of the discourse, I went to her husband and said, "Dear friend, your flower needs some watering." And he understood. It's not that he did not know about practice, but he needs someone to remind him. So I was the person who reminded him of the practice. So that day after our silent mindful meal, he drove home to Bordeaux. It takes 1 hour of driving from Plum Village to Bordeaux. And during that time of driving, he practiced flower watering. It's very effective. And when they arrived home, she bloomed like a flower, and the children were very surprised. So the practice is very effective. Let us try today. We are invited to try the practice of mindful breathing, mindful smiling, and watering the good seeds in the other person. And I think we can do like in Plum Village. Many couples have come to Plum Village and signed a peace treaty, a love treaty, in the presence of the big Sangha. When they get angry, what they should do, what they should not do, they pledge to practice selective watering and so on. And also father and son, mother and daughter, not only spouse and spouse. The practice can be done by anyone. And young people are very capable of practicing these practices. And they go home and help their parents and restore communication with their parents. It's wonderful. We have programs for young people and also children. I tell you a story about flower watering. That couple live in Paris. They are rich people, but they did not know how to practice. That is why the situation became difficult. They did not enjoy looking at each other anymore. So they agreed to look into the direction of the television. In the beginning, it's a joy to look at each other. Darling, I cannot survive without you. Without you, how can I survive? In the beginning, it was like that. But now they have been making each other suffer. So looking at each other is no longer a joy. So they agreed tacitly to look at the television, and that is a tragedy. And many couples are in that situation. What the Buddha would advise us in this situation? That day he telephoned home from the office and he said he had to go to New York for a very important meeting, business meeting, cannot go home. In fact, he does not like to go home because going home is not very joyful. So he tried to keep busy in order not to have to go home. That is tragedy. And she also feel the same. So she tried to survive alone at home. And she said, okay, if you need to go, please go. Don't worry about me. And that afternoon, she was cleaning, she was looking at her wardrobe. And the dress that she used on the wedding day is still there. And she passed in review the kind of dress that she used in different occasions. And suddenly she recognized the box of biscuit that she had used to preserve love letters written by him. It was very lovely letters, love letters. She cherished and she still keep. Nowadays, young people don't write love letters anymore. They use the computer, and after that they erase. That's a pity. So the lady still keep the love letters written by her husband. And she saw the box. She opened it and she took one of the letter out and tried to read to see what is inside. It has been a long time she did not read this letter. He was writing with a language of love, admiration. And when she was reading that letter, the seed of happiness and love in her that have been buried under many layers of irritation and anger was touched by the letter. The letter was watering the seed of happiness and love and memories in her. The letter is not a person, but when you read the letter, you are the seed of happiness, the seed of love, the seed of good memories buried in you, had a chance to be touched, and she feel pleasant. It's like the rain falling on the ground after many days of dryness. Suddenly she felt that she suffered less, more pleasant, like a breeze blowing. So she decided to read a few more letters like that. And finally she brought the whole box and put it on the table and sit down, and she read one after another, all the 45 letters. It took 4 hours or more for her to read all these letters. And during that time, she allowed the seed of good memories, love, happiness in her to be watered. She was not aware that she was practicing selective watering. She rediscovered the charming prince that he had been. And she reflected, and she found out that if they had been able to maintain that, because both of them have been not unskillful. Now they cannot talk with each other with that kind of language anymore, because there has been so much irritation and anger. But reading the 45 letters, she feel that she can write him a letter with that kind of language, because she also wrote to him with that kind of language. So she decided to take a piece of paper, write down, and write him a letter with the kind of language that she had used when they were still young, in love with each other. Before reading these letters, it was impossible for her to use that language. But after having read all these letters, suddenly she feels that she can write to him a love letter again. If you still preserve these letters, try. I am sure that after having read these letters again, you feel a lot of love, gratitude, and happiness, and you'll be able to talk to him, to talk to her with that kind of language again, I'm sure. She sat down and wrote him a letter about their happiness in the beginning. And he said that maybe if they remember the happy years in the beginning, and then they will believe that that kind of happiness can be restored now. So she wrote that letter. And during the time she wrote that letter, she also watered the good seeds in her. And after having put that letter in the envelope, she climbed the ladder and she put it on his desk. Of course, he's still in New York. He has not read the letter, but she feels completely different. Her seeds of happiness and love have been watered by the letters. And that is why I think that keeping love letters is a very good thing. Even he wrote it in the form of email. You must print it, and preserve it. The next day he called to inform her that he had to stay a few more days in New York. He cannot go home. And she answered him, "Darling, if you need to stay a few more days, please stay." But her voice is different. The accent in her voice is different. Sweet, loving. Because she has got the good seeds water. In the beginning, he did not notice it, but after having hung up, he was very surprised that his wife was talking to him with a very sweet language. He was very surprised. And that watered the seed of happiness in him. It has been a long time his wife did not talk to him in that way. You see the effect of the practice of positive watering. It takes only a few hours. And then he arranged to go home quickly. When he arrived, he went up and he found the letter. And he stayed there for a long time after having read the letter. Reading the letter, he allowed the seed of happiness and love in him to be watered. So he was like practicing sitting meditation up there for a long time, allowing the good seeds in him to be watered, to allow love to be reborn. And he recovered. And after that, he decided to come down in order to reconcile with his wife. There is a young American who came to Plum Village about 20 years ago and was welcomed to stay with the monks. And one day he was given an exercise. Together with other lay practitioners, writing down the good qualities of your father and your mother on a sheet of paper. Writing about my father, the quality of my father, he said, it's very easy. He has no problem with his father. So writing down the qualities, the virtues of his father that he recognized in him is easy. But writing about the qualities of his mother, he will have difficulties because he was having difficulties with his mother. He was angry at his mother. But because it is an exercise for the whole Sangha, he had to do it. But with mindfulness and concentration, during the time of writing the letter and acknowledge the virtues of his mother, he discovered that his mother has so many virtues. And he recognized these virtues within himself. So it turned out that his letter to his mother is a truly love letter. It's a true love letter. And during the time he wrote that letter, he was transformed. He acknowledged the good things, the virtues of his mother, and appreciate them. And a few days later, his wife from Washington, D.C. called him and informed him that his mother was so happy to receive that letter from him. That she said that if her mother is still alive, she would like to write a letter like that to her own mother. Because the letter also watered the good seeds in his mother and inspired her to write a letter to his grandmother. But his grandmother was already dead. But when he heard his wife telling him so, he telephoned his mother and said, "Mommy, write the letter anyway," because Thầy said that our mother is still always alive in every cell of our body. So write the letter away. My grandma will read your letter during the time you write it. And then her mother sat down and write the love letter to his mother. So transformation and healing can be obtained just by the practice of selective watering, because any one of us has seeds of happiness and hope and forgiveness and love. And if you take the time to sit down and recognize the good seeds, the seed of loyalty, the seed of compassion, the seed of understanding in the other person, and if you can water them by talking or by writing a letter, you see that you can transform the situation. And this is possible for all of us. For walking meditation, we can enjoy breathing in and making 2 steps. And you might like to say, I have arrived, I have arrived. And try to arrive. I have arrived is not a statement, it is a realization. If you release the past, the future, your project, your worries, you'll be able to arrive truly in the here and the now. I have arrived, I have arrived. And you put the seal of arrival on the ground with your steps, with your feet. I certify that I have arrived, truly. And that needs concentration and mindfulness. Invest your body and your mind into making steps like this. Resist running into the future. I have arrived, I have arrived. And when you breathe out, you say, I'm home, I'm home, I'm home. My home is in the here and the now. My true home. I do not want to run anymore. I have been running all my life. Now I want to stop and live my life properly. So this is a strong determination to stop and to touch life more deeply. I have arrived, I'm home. Your in breath may be shorter than your out breath. So breathing in, you might make 2 steps. I have arrived, I have arrived. But breathing out, you might like to make 3 steps. I'm home, I'm home, I'm home. Try to make it a reality and not just wishful thinking. And then you get a good habit of arriving in the here and the now and touch life deeply. I have arrived. I am home. In the here, in the now. I am solid, solidly established in the here and the now. I am solid. I am free. Free from worries, from regret, from fear. I am solid. I am free. In the kingdom of God, in the pure land of Buddha, I dwell. Because the kingdom of God is there. The blue sky belongs to the kingdom. The children, the birds. So make yourself available to the kingdom with your practice of mindful breathing, mindful walking. The gift I would like to make to you is the kingdom of God. The kingdom is now or never. With mindfulness, with your capacity of being in the here and the now, the kingdom is a reality. This is the teaching of the Buddha. This is the teaching of Jesus Christ and other great teachers of humanity. Enjoy your sitting, enjoy your walking. Please undo your feet and massage them mindfully, smilingly.
So, dear friends, please stay in your seats where you are until we all hear the sound of the bell. And then Thai will get up, and then he'll go out, and I'll just make a few announcements about what we're doing next. So if you could just stay where you are until Thai leaves. So, dear sisters and brothers, we will, after this, in about 15 minutes, so it's about 11:30 now, so let's say about 11:45, 11:50, we'll gather let's gather in the garden up here, just further up there, if there's a shady place. And then from there, we'll commence a walk into Lodi Gardens. And we'll take a walk for about half an hour, 40 minutes, and then we'll settle down in Lodi Gardens for a picnic lunch. And then at about, I can't remember the time, it's on the board, we will come back then for time for mindful movements, and then, of course, question and answers later at the end. So right now, just if you, the toilets, for those of you who are not familiar with IIC, there's some men's and women's toilets in this building.